Let me tell you something, honey. One of the biggest retirement shocks folks get is this right here. They finally start Social Security, or they're getting close, and they realize they have no idea whether their check is low, average, or way above what most people get. They've heard numbers from friends, from cousins, from somebody at church, from some loud man on the internet who swears everybody is getting $3,000 a month just for staying alive. Sweetie, that is not how this works. And when you look at the actual 2026 Social Security numbers, the truth may surprise you. Some people who think they're doing just fine are actually below the middle. Some people who feel embarrassed about their check are closer to average than they realized. And some folks who think the average check is huge are about to get a real kitchen table reality check from Auntie Grace. So take a breath with me. I want you to know the truth, not the sugar-coated version, not the scary version, and not the bragging version. The truth. In the latest 2026 Social Security data, the average retired worker check is a little over $2,000 a month, right around $2,076 in February 2026. Now listen carefully because this part matters. That number is for retired workers. If you look at all Social Security beneficiaries together, not just retirees, the overall average is lower, about $1,928 a month. That means when people throw around the average Social Security check, they are often mixing apples, oranges, and somebody's fruit salad. There are retired workers, spouses, widows, disabled workers, children getting benefits, and folks on SSI, which is a whole different thing. So before you compare your check to anybody else, you need to make sure you are comparing the right category. Now, here's the simple version of the 2026 picture. Around 70.8 million people are receiving Social Security benefits. Of those, about 54 million are retired workers. That tells you something important right there, honey. Most Social Security checks are retirement checks, yes, but not all of them. Spouses of retired workers average under $1,000 a month, around $985. Children of retired workers are around $957. Non-disabled widows and widowers average around $1,925, which surprises a lot of people because survivor benefits can be higher than folks expect. Disabled workers average around $1,634. So when somebody says, my neighbor only gets around $1,000 or my brother gets almost $2,000, both of those things can be true. Social Security is not one flat number. It is a whole range, and where you land depends on your work record, your earnings, your claim age, and the type of benefit you're receiving. Now, let's talk about ranking, because that's where the surprise really walks into the kitchen and sits down uninvited. The average retired worker benefit in the latest published national ranking table is about $1,975, and the median is about $1,915. And if you don't remember anything else I say today, remember this: the median is often more honest than the average. Why? Because the average can get pulled upward by people with very high checks. The median is the middle point, meaning half of retired workers get less than that amount and half get more. So if your check is around $1,900 a month, you are not way behind the pack. You are smack near the middle of it. A lot of people hear average is around $2,000 and feel bad if they are under that. But the middle is lower than the average, and that matters. Let me make it even plainer, sweetie. About 4.5% of retired workers get less than $600 a month. About 5.5% get between $600 and $900. About 10.9% get between $900 and $1,200. Add that up, and roughly 1 out of 5 retired workers is under $1,200 a month. Now, if we go up to $1,500, about 1/3 of retired workers are below that. If we go up to $1,800, nearly half are still below it. If your check is between $1,800 and about $2,400, you are right in that thick middle to upper middle zone where a whole lot of Americans live. And here comes the sassy part. Only about 12.9% of retired workers are at $3,000 a month or more. So all that online carrying on about giant Social Security checks, baby, that is a loud minority, not the norm. And this is where people really get their feelings hurt, because the rankings tell a different story than the bragging does. If your check is around $1,200, you are lower than average, yes, but you are not alone. If your check is around $1,900 to $2,100, you are much more typical than folks realize. If your check is over $2,400, you're doing better than a large share of retirees. And if your check is over $3,000, honey, you are not average. You are well above what most retired workers receive. I'm not saying that makes you rich, because Lord knows rent, groceries, insurance, and medicine will humble anybody. But I am saying you should understand your place in the pack, not to judge yourself, but to plan with open eyes. Now, let's bring the states into this conversation, because geography matters more than people think. The newest published state-by-state Social Security ranking is a little behind the monthly 2026 data because those state tables come out with a lag, but it is still the latest official state comparison we have. And guess what? The top of the ranking is not just who people assume. Connecticut is near the top at about $2,196. New Jersey is right there too, about $2,190. New Hampshire, Delaware, and Maryland are also high, and states like Washington, Minnesota, Massachusetts, Michigan, Utah, and Virginia are in that top tier too. So no, it is not just big, expensive places in the most obvious way. Some of the highest check states are places with strong lifetime earnings patterns, steady careers, and workers who built solid wage histories over many years. On the lower end among states, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Kentucky are among the lowest, with average retired worker benefits down closer to the low 1800s. And when you look at territories, the gap gets even wider. Puerto Rico is far lower, around $1,262. Guam is around $1,344. The U.S. Virgin Islands are around $1,657. American Samoa and the Northern Mariana Islands are even lower than that. So if you're comparing checks across places, please do not forget cost of living, wages, job history, and labor markets over a lifetime. A higher average check in one state does not automatically mean people there are living high on the hog. It often just means they had higher reported earnings over the years, and Social Security rewarded that math. And let me tell you one more surprise that deserves a little side-eye. Men, on average, still get meaningfully higher retired worker benefits than women. The latest published figures show men averaging around $2,181 a month and women around $1,780. That is not because women are less worthy. Don't make me come through this camera. It is because many women spent years earning less, stepping out of the workforce for caregiving, or working part-time while still carrying half the world on their back. Social Security is based heavily on your highest 35 years of earnings. If you have zeros in those 35 years, or many lower earning years, your benefit gets pulled down. That is why a lot of women, widows, divorced spouses, and caregivers need to pay special attention to their claiming strategy and spousal or survivor options. Now let's answer the big question. Who gets more, who gets less, and why? People who get more usually had higher earnings for many years, worked close to or beyond 35 years, and often waited longer to claim. People who get less may have worked fewer years, had lower wages, spent years out of the workforce, claimed early, or are receiving a spouse or dependent benefit instead of a full retired worker benefit. And early claiming matters a lot. If your full retirement age is 67, claiming at 62 can cut your monthly benefit by about 30%. That is not a tiny trim, honey. That is a real haircut. On the flip side, waiting beyond full retirement age can raise your monthly benefit. In 2026, the maximum possible benefit is about $2,969 at age 62, about $4,152 at full retirement age, and about $5,181 at age 70. But listen to Auntie Grace carefully. Almost nobody gets the maximum. To get anywhere near that, you need very high earnings for a lot of years. So please don't sit there thinking you failed because you are not near the max. Most people are not. Another reason this ranking matters is because so many people build retirement dreams around the wrong number. They think, well, I'll probably get around 2,500, and they have never actually checked their statement, never used the Social Security calculator, never run the numbers for age 62 versus 67 versus 70, and never asked themselves whether they can really live on what's coming. Sweetie, hope is not a retirement plan. Knowing your rough ranking gives you a reality check. If your expected benefit is under $1,500, you may need more help from savings, part-time work, a spouse's income, cheaper housing, or a simpler lifestyle than you imagined. If your check is around the average, say $1,900 to $2,100, that may cover a chunk of your life, but probably not all of it, unless your expenses are low. And if your check is higher than average, that is a blessing, but it still does not mean you can stop paying attention to taxes, Medicare costs, inflation, and what happens if one spouse passes away. I want you to hear this next part with love. Ranking is not about shame, it is about clarity. If you find out your benefit is below average, that is not a moral failure. It is not proof that you did life wrong. It means you need a tighter plan. It means your budget has to be honest. It means you may be to protect the basics first: housing, food, medicine, utilities, and transportation. It may mean paying off debt before retirement instead of dragging those bills with you. It may mean downsizing, taking one more working year if your health allows, or delaying your claim if that would truly improve your long-term picture. And if your health is poor, your savings are slim, and you need the money now, then claiming earlier may be the right move for you. See, this is why I don't like blanket advice. Real life is messier than internet slogans. So what should you do after you figure out where your check ranks? First, pull your own Social Security statement and see your estimate at different claim ages. Not what your coworker said, yours. Second, put that number beside your real monthly expenses, not your fantasy expenses. Write down the mortgage or rent, groceries, gas, prescriptions, insurance, phone, lights, and all the little things that nibble your money to death. Third, if you are still working, ask whether one more year or 2 more years of earnings could replace a low-earning year in your 35-year record. That can help. Fourth, think hard before claiming at 62 just because you are tired. I know you're tired, baby. A lot of us are. But tired and unable are not always the same thing. If waiting will protect you later, at least run the numbers before you jump. And fifth, if you plan to work while claiming early, remember there are earnings limits. In 2026, if you are under full retirement age all year, benefits can be withheld if you earn over $24,480. In the year you reach full retirement age, the limit is higher before that birthday month. That part catches a lot of people off guard. And let me say a quick word for folks who are really talking about SSI and don't realize it. SSI is not the same as regular Social Security retirement benefits. SSI is a needs-based program, and in 2026, the federal maximum is much lower, around $994 a month for an individual and $1,491 for an eligible couple before any state supplements. So if your auntie says, "I only get about $1,000, she may be talking about SSI, not a retired worker's Social Security benefit. That is why these conversations get so confused. Folks compare one program to another and then wonder why none of the numbers line up. Honey, numbers line up when you compare the right things. The main lesson here is simple, and I need you to hold on to it. If your Social Security check is around $2,000 a month, you are not unusual. If it is below $1,500, you are in a group that needs to be especially careful. If it is above $2,400, you are doing better than many. If it is above $3,000, you are well above most retired workers. But no matter where you rank, Social Security was never meant to be your whole fairy tale. It is a foundation, a floor, a steady check. It can be a lifesaver, yes, but for many people, it is not enough by itself to cover a comfortable retirement without some kind of backup plan, lower expenses, or very careful choices. I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm saying it because I love you enough to tell you the truth. So, sweetie, if this opened your eyes even a little bit, I want you to do two things right after this video. First, stop guessing and check your own numbers. Second, leave me a comment and tell me your state or tell me where your check lands if you're comfortable sharing. I read those comments, and I promise you, your story will help somebody else feel less alone. And if you know a friend, a sister, a brother, or one of them stubborn uncles who keep saying, "I'll figure it out later," go on and share this video with them. Later has a way of showing up fast. Subscribe, come sit with Auntie Grace again, and remember this. Whatever your number is today, you are not powerless. You are not too late to get honest, get organized, and make smart moves. Take a breath with me, honey. We do this one good decision at a time, and that is still a beautiful way forward.